Hello, my name's Keith Rucker. Today I'm out at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture. It's Saturday. As typical, this is my work day to get out here and get some things done. As most of you guys know from listening to videos, this job that are working out here in the machine shop at the museum is not my full-time job. I'm a volunteer. This is just kind of my opportunity to just have some release time. To get out here and just work in the shop and work on things that I like doing. So, and typically on Saturdays when I'm out here, I try to shoot some videos and share some stuff with you guys and let you know what's going on at the museum in our restoration and maintenance shop as we're working on different projects. It's December, mid-December now. Christmas is right around the corner. This is going to be a very busy day at the museum, and because of that, I really don't have a lot of projects going on today. We've got a big Christmas event going on, and here in just a little while I'm going to have to go out and get on our steam locomotive and help with the engineering duties for the day, which is always a lot of fun. I get to play with toy trains, except they're not toys, they're real. So one of my favorite things. So anyway, not a lot going on here in the shop, but I did want to just shoot a quick video and share a couple of things. As you've probably noticed, if you saw my last video last week, I got to where I cannot answer any comments on the YouTube site. This is because of an issue with my ISP, and I'm working with those guys. They're actually working very hard trying to get it resolved. It's all got to do with this Google Plus and YouTube now requiring that in order to use the comment system, you have to be on Google Plus, which I won't give you my opinion of. I'm not too happy about it though. But regardless, we're working through it. I live in a pretty small rural area in South Georgia, and because of that, my internet connection that I use, we're using a little small town internet service provider. And living in small town America has its upsides and it has its downsides. I guess one of its downsides is that I'm dealing with a small ISP, and you know, they're not always on the cutting edge of technology. I may be lagging behind a little bit. I've got great internet access. I'm not complaining there. But when I talked to them the other day, nobody had complained about this YouTube issue, and quite honestly, they weren't even aware that it was a problem. So, you know, because of that, they're having to work through some stuff on their end. I guess the good news about living in small town America and working with a small company is that when I pick up the phone and call these guys, I actually get to talk to a real person. And the person is in charge of all the technology at this place. So, and they are really bending over backwards trying to help me get through this, and they're having to work with Google to figure out what's going on as to why our system is not working with the Google system. And anyway, hopefully that will be resolved soon. I'm optimistic that it will be resolved soon, and I'll be able to leave comments. But in the meantime, I have gotten a bunch of comments over the last week, and I did want to spend a little bit of time, and instead of just writing out the comments, I'm going to make a little video, and we're going to go over some of these. So I'm going to share some of the comments that have come in the last week and with you guys, and here's my opportunity to reply back until we get the comment system working again. So these are in no particular order. I've got these printed out on a piece of paper kind of by the video, so we'll start there. So the first one I've got here is on the repairing a broken gear part 2, milling a new gear tooth video. And let's see, had a comment from Wanna Bear. It says, wow, there's a crack running through your stock piece at 1847. And you know, when I saw that, I'm like, really? I didn't notice that. So I got on the video and I went to 1847 and looked at it. That's the timestamp, 18 minutes 47 seconds. And sure enough, if you look on the video, you can see what looks like a crack on the side of that stock. And but as soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what it was. The piece of stock that we were using in that video is a piece of extruded cast iron. And because it was extruded, if you've ever worked with extruded materials, you get this surface finish on it. It's kind of like, for lack of a better term, it's kind of like scaled. It gets on the metal. It's not really scaled, but you just get this little texture. And there is some places on there that it just had what looked like a crack in the video. And believe me, when I saw it, it looks just like a crack. But just trust me, if you take a file or you take a mill and you mill that surface off of the stock, it's just fine. So I did want to reply to that. That while it did look like a crack, it was not a crack, and the piece is just fine. I promise. In fact, I actually went over a while ago and pulled up my little, in fact, it's right here, what's left of that stock, and you can, let me see if I can zoom in on here now. Okay, maybe you guys can see this. I've got this kind of zoomed in on the stock, and if you look right here, you can see what looks like a crack. In reality, that's just a little spot on the surface of the metal that the light is reflecting off of, and it looks like a crack, but it's not. It's just a little piece of kind of scale looking piece on it. If you cut that off, mill that off, it goes away. I promise. So nothing there as far as a crack, but yeah, good eye. Okay, so back to the comments now. I'm on machining and installing bronze bearings and bushings, and we had a couple of comments there from Not Too Fast for You to See with the numbers and letters in there. I enjoy watching the videos, the old school way of machining, and I like old tools and machines. So do I. A little bit about me, I guess. I started working in the machine shop in the mid to late 1980s. When I graduated high school, I needed a job, and there was a local machine shop that was looking for a guy to help. They had a big production job coming in, and he was really looking for a machine operator to sit on a turret lathe and crank out parts. And a friend of mine was actually working in the shop, told me about it, and I went over and got a job. It was supposed to have been just a little temporary job for about a month or so until that job finished up. Long story short, I went in, and the whole machine shop stuff, I just took to it. It just became very natural to me. And the machinist that ran the shop, I think he recognized that, you know, I had an aptitude for it. I liked the work, and he kept me on and kind of took me under his wing. And for lack of a better terms, I ended up working there, kind of doing an apprenticeship. It wasn't a formal apprenticeship, but it was kind of treated like an apprenticeship for about 3 years. And when I was working there, the real reason I was working there was to earn money so that I could go to college. I didn't have money to go to college. I wanted to go to college. And you know, from day one, he knew that I was there, you know, to just earn some money. But for me, I really enjoyed the work. I really enjoyed the machinist aspect of stuff. And I did eventually leave and go to college. And I have a career in a totally different field now. I love my job. I love what I do. But the machinist bug never left me. And soon after I got out of college and started getting a house and putting together stuff, I started acquiring a few machines and had a lathe in my garage and was always just tinkering on things, and eventually bought some milling machines and other things. So for me, it's not a full-time job. I've been working in machinist trade, you know, off and on, not always professionally now, for 20-something years. And I really like it. In the old school, you know, that's kind of the way I was brought up. When I was working in that machine shop, we didn't have any CNC machines. In fact, we didn't even have really any modern machines. Everything in there was probably made during World War II or earlier. And that's what I learned on. And to this day, I love working on old machines, and I love the old school way of doing things. I get frustrated. You know, we've got at our tech school here, not too far from where I live, they have a machine tool technology course, and they basically teach you how to program a machine to make parts. And the kids that go through that program, at least now, they're not learning any manual machine operations. So, you know, these kids are graduating, and they're really not machinists. They're machine tool operators, and there is a difference, and I think that's a mistake. I think that you should learn how to do things by hand. Nothing against CNC equipment. It's great. It's wonderful. When you're making production stuff, man, I'd have killed to have had a CNC machine back when I was running that turret lathe all day long. But anyway, we don't need to lose these skills, and a lot of these skills are being lost. Another comment on that by looks like JLG4880 says you may want to try manual focus provided the camera offers that option. Other than that, those old machine tools and soon to be rehabilitated machinery are enough to make me drool. I agree with you on the manual focus, and I've been doing that some with my camera, particularly when I come in and on them, because I've noticed that it keeps trying to focus on things. Depending on the shot, sometimes it's difficult to use the manual focus, but I am trying to do that a little bit more. I've got a really nice camera set up, but unfortunately that focus doesn't always work the way I want to, and when you're trying to look at it through that little 2-inch screen that's on there, sometimes you don't get a good idea until you look at it on the computer monitor to see whether it's in focus or not. I will say that I'm wanting to get another camera. I'm wanting to get one of the little GoPro little mini cameras that I can mount on the machine and get some second shots, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do that soon, and I think that will help with my focus problems as well. So maybe if I'm good this year, Santa Claus will bring me a GoPro. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Another one on this same video, machining installing bearings, bronze bearings and bushings from Kilaloya, I guess that's how you say that. It says, Keith, I was taught as an apprentice that for every 1,000th inch of interference, allow basically 13 10,000ths compression in the bore. It has always worked pretty well for me. If I'm using the press, I turn down a straight lip about 1 to 2 thousandths and about an 1/8 inch long to align square before pressing. It doesn't make any difference to the bushing, but avoids it going in crooked. Very good tip. And you know, I think that compression on the inside of the bore, if I think back to when I was working in the shop, you know, we talked about that a long time ago, and I think I may have overlooked some of that in some of my videos when I'm talking about this, but you do get some compression on the inside if you're doing a bushing. So if you compress on the outside, it's also going to compress a little bit on the inside of that bore. So if you have a shaft that's turned down real tight tolerances and you press it in, that actual bore can shrink up a little bit. So that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that out. And you know, that's something I probably need to pay a little more attention to in the future. Okay, next one here, from the machining and installing height adjustment screws for the J Events planer matcher. This is from Herb Blair. It says, Keith, I enjoyed the video, thanks. A faster way to find top dead center of a shaft is to use the edge finder on one side, zero the DRO, and then go to the other side and read the number on the DRO, divide that number by 2, crank the y-axis back to the number, and that is center. So, you know, again, I think that's a great idea. I've never really seen it done that way. I guess I was just taught a different way. And in machine shop world, I don't think there is a right or wrong way to do a lot of this stuff. There's just the way that you were taught and the way that works for you, and the way that you know, you do things based on what tools and equipment that you have. In this case, you bring out a really good point here, and I really haven't thought about this. So what he's talking about is centering up a piece of stock on the milling machine using the DRO. When I do it, I use my center finder. I go in, find the edge, then I move it over to where I have the center of the mill on the edge, and then I move it over again based on my measurement. He's saying just use the DRO, find the edge on both sides, divide by 2. That would be faster. I'm going to try that. Good tip. Thank you. All right. Tool post grinder, making an extension arbor for inside diameter grinding. This is one of my last videos I did. Let's see. There's a couple of videos or a couple of comments on here that came up about audio problems, and I had a comment the other day I actually replied to where someone was saying they could hear the music on the intro, but they couldn't hear me talk, and I was been scratching my head trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm not going to read all these, but I will. I'll read this one here. It says, let's see. Okay, here's this. Hi Keith, another great video. I'm learning loads off of you. Keep up the good work. On the audio problems, funny enough, I'm deaf in one ear and listen with one earphone in. The intro music is fine, and when you start talking, I can't hear you unless I swap the earphones over and put the other one on, laughing out loud. And you know, this makes sense. Now this whole audio problem, is starting to really make sense, because I know that the music that I use at the front is actually recorded in stereo, so it's going to both speakers or both ears on your headphones, whereas my camera only records in mono, so it's only recording on one of the left and right tracks. It's not recording on both. So when you play it through your speakers, it's only playing through one or the other, and I don't know if it's left or right, but it's one or the other. So, you know, if that's a problem, you've been having problems hearing my videos and you're hearing the music but not me talking, it may be an issue with your speakers. It may be an issue with, well, maybe one of your earbuds working. So you may want to look at that. And I probably need to look and see if I can come up with a way to record my audio in stereo. I think my camera has that limitation. I don't know if I can get around that, but I'm going to look into that too, because that may help. It's something that has come up several times where people say, I can't hear you talking. But so I think we may have a clue as to why. And it's probably a problem on their end where maybe only one of their speakers are working, or as this person says, I'm deaf in one ear and I can only hear in one of them, and I'll swap my headphone over, I can hear fine. So, you know, I think that's probably what's driving this. Let's see, what else is on here? This is from Opinionator52. That's a nice tool post grinder and a good find. I just came upon your channel in the past few days. Looks like you have a fun job. I'm a retired job shop machinist. I got my start in 1980 and I've done a lot of close work in some machinery building, waste scraping, you name it. I did automotive machine work for 4 years before at that, with a good bit of drag race work. I really love watching machine videos of all types and bringing back fond memories. I look forward to seeing more here. I wanted to also say I really enjoyed it. Your delivery of your explanation while you work, so that you're easily understood. I used to have the job of helping teach school kids with the early hands-on experience. I bet they will do well watching your videos. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for the comments. I appreciate that. You know, you talk about waste scraping. That's something I'd really like to learn how to do. I've watched some videos. I actually have seen a couple of guys do demonstrations on hand scraping machine ways. That's something I want to learn how to do one of these days. I've had a couple of times that I've needed to do that, so maybe that's something I'll pick up a skill on one of these days. Okay, next one here. This is on my little video I shot the other day telling you guys that I couldn't reply to the comments. And let's see, there's a couple of things on here. Let's see, you're awesome, learning so much from you. Do not stop making videos, please. I'll try to keep going, guys. I haven't got a Google Plus account, don't want a Google Plus account, will not get a Google Plus account in 1,000 years, mainly because Google Plus is trying to bully us into getting one. Keep up the good videos, appreciate them, seem to be able to randomly comment, otherwise unable to support your channel. Yeah, I've heard lots of people say they're not happy about Google Plus, and I'm really not crazy about it either. I will say that, you know, and I think I mentioned this earlier, I do have a Google Plus account set up now. My ISP was able to get me where I could at least get that far along, but I'm not able to link it to my channel yet because of some other problem. And again, it's on their end, it's not on my end. We've figured that much out, but hopefully we'll get there soon. But yeah, Google, gotta love them. Toolmaker 1968 ER, we have a similar comment problem. For some reason your channel is the only one I can leave a comment on, and I have a Google Plus account. Pretty annoying. By the way, great job on the tool post grinder. Thank you. See, I had the same problem and discovered if I use Internet Explorer I can make comments. I think is a great demonstration of Google's arrogance, and I can't use Chrome to reply. I will say I did try Internet Explorer to see if I could get in there and leave comments, and no go, that wouldn't work either. So anyway, the rest of these are pretty much along those same lines, so I'm not going to read any more of those. But again, on the comment situation, I hope to get that resolved pretty soon. In the meantime, I may just have to keep doing video comments. You may or may not like that. All right, so machine shop maintenance, truing up a 3-jaw chuck. Let's see here. Several comments on this one. Nice job, Keith. Just one question. I understand you have the chuck turning at you and the wheel turning away from you, but I don't know which way you turned the cross slide. Was it inward as though you were turning, or outwards as though you were boring. Okay, so what he's talking about is when I was doing that inside grinding, I had the chuck turning towards me or turning counterclockwise, and I had the grinding wheel turning the opposite direction, and I was cutting or grinding on the inside, so I was actually feeding the tool post grinder toward me so that I was cutting off of that inside. If you wanted to, I don't know that there's no reason you couldn't do it on the back side. I think it would work just fine because you're grinding and not turning, but the way I did it was I did it toward me. Okay. I'd like to see you recheck using a ground shank of an end mill. That's how I checked mine. I still got 3/1000ths though. So it's talking about checking the run out. And I had another comment on here. Let's see if I can find that. How much of that 3/1000ths run out is in that cold roll stock? In reality, you may be closer to nuts than demonstrated by the indicator. So what people are talking about here is I was checking the run out using a piece of cold roll stock, which is not a perfectly round piece. In this case, it was pretty darn close. I actually did go back and check it with a piece of ground stock, and the run out was still right around 4,000. So it really didn't make a lot of difference that I was indicating off of that piece of cold roll. But I guess at the end of the day, the big thing is we went from 17,000ths to 4,000ths. So I'm excited. And with a 3-jaw chuck, that's, you know, even on a brand new one, that's probably about as good as you can go. Let's see, here's another one kind of along those lines. Excellent video. This is from Dale Richardson. Excellent video. I too looked for a method on YouTube, but didn't see anything worthwhile until I saw Keith Finner set up. I used the inner bolts of the jaws in a similar ring, and with a lot of fiddling around and luck, I was able to get my jaw set at the same diameter as the chuck through hole. It didn't take much grinding to clean them up, but made all the difference in the world while turning. No more bell mouth. Too many variables on a chuck to get better than 4,000. Mr. Pete says 5,000ths on a 3-jaw chuck. So he's talking about Mr. Pete, Toolmaker. I watch his videos. He's a great old shop teacher, and he says 5,000ths on a 3-jaw chuck is about the best you can get. So I feel pretty good that we're getting 4 on that old wore out chuck that I've got. Let's see. Here's one from KL Martin 1962. I saw that video by Keith Finner. In my opinion, this idea is brilliant in its simplicity. Good job. Yeah, I have to give a lot of that credit to Keith, because Keith Finner, that is, because I saw that video and it just clicked in my head. I said, hey, that's how I really have been trying to figure out how I was going to do. I knew I wanted to grind this for a while, and I've been in my mind off and on for the last couple of months trying to come up with how to do that. And when I saw Keith Finner's video, you know, that it was brilliant. So my hat's off to Keith Finner on that one. I've learned a lot from watching Keith Finner's videos. He does a great job. If you don't subscribe to his channel, you may want to scoot over there and take a look at it. He's got some really good videos up. I've seen it done the other way, and I thought, as you did, the pressure was wrong on the jaws, but my jaws are not bolted on like yours. Now I know the way to apply pressure. Thanks, Keith. So he's talking about, and I've seen this method for grinding a chuck done a lot of times where they expand the jaws. They put a ring on and actually expand them out rather than coming in. And I don't know that it would make that big of a difference. I've seen a lot of references to doing it the other way. But again, like you, I think that if you may see some differences on tightening the chuck rather than expanding it out to get the slop out of those jaws. So I don't know if it will make that big of a difference, but if you can do it coming in, it's got to be a little bit better. It may not be that much better, but a little bit better. Let's see. Here's one from Vet Picking. Looks like Corvette, V-E-T-T-E. So I'm guessing that's a Corvette picker, a guy looking for Corvettes. He says, a big step you left out was to clean inside the scroll. And you were absolutely right. I did leave that out. I did actually do that, but not at the same time that I was running this video. But you are correct. I should have mentioned that in my video, that you need to take the chuck apart and clean the scroll out on the inside, because you get a lot of chips build up in there over years. And actually, I did that on this chuck probably, it's been a couple of months ago. I actually was going to try to do this job before I started shooting all these YouTube videos. I took my chuck apart, I cleaned it up on the inside, I put it back together. I actually ground the face of the chuck so that it was flat with the tool post grinder I have. and then I kind of got stuck and couldn't figure out how to do the jaws right, and it's just kind of been sitting there. So I did leave that step out. You were correct, but you're right. If you're going to do this job, the first step one is really take that chuck apart and clean out that scroll. Again, it was done on mine, but it was done off camera a couple of months ago, and I should have mentioned that and just neglected to do so, forgot to do so when I was shooting the video. All right, let's see. Got a few more. If I can get my paper to come unstuck here. Okay, so this one was on milling machine maintenance, adjusting gibs and ways. This is from Hoyum Atna. I guess it's H-O-U-M-A-T-N-A. It says, "Hi Keith, please do you have any surface grinding videos? Thanks." Unfortunately, no, I do not have any surface grinding videos because I don't have a surface grinder. That is actually one of the machines that I really want to pick up at some point in time. Back when I worked in the machine shop, we had a surface grinder and used it for a lot of different things. And to me, that is just one of those machines that really makes life a lot easier in a machine shop. And again, unfortunately, I don't have one, don't have access to one. So to answer your question, no, I don't have any videos and probably won't for a while. But at some point in time, I am hopeful that I'm going to be able to pick up a surface grinder and be able to show you guys some stuff on a surface grinder as well as I reacquaint myself. I haven't used a surface grinder in probably 25 years, but again, I'd really like to get my hands on one. You know, I'll also mention, you know, I do a lot of my work out here at the museum. They've got this nice Lodge and Shipley lathe over here, and I use this lathe a lot. It's really is the only lathe I use now. I used to have a little smaller 10-inch Logan lathe that I had at home, and I used it with my milling machine, my Wells Index milling machine. I had those set up at home, and I did a lot of work there. Long story short, about 3 years ago now, I guess, I had to move a lot of stuff around, shuffle some machines around, and I brought my milling machine out here to the museum mainly because we were working on making a lot of parts we were doing some work on the steam locomotive at the time, and I was needing the mill to do that, and it was just going to be easier to set it up out here at the museum than trying to haul stuff back and forth to my house. And I've just kind of left it out here, and I pretty much do all my machine shop work out here at the museum now. Since then, I've also picked up the horizontal mill, which is my personal milling machine, but again, have it set up out here at the museum because that's where I tend to use it most of the time. So a lot of my stuff is kind of spread between the shop out here at the museum and my shop at home, which my shop at home is really more of a woodworking shop. I've got a lot of woodworking machinery there. And it's not really good to have the woodworking and metalworking stuff together, so it's worked out good. The frustrating thing is that a lot of my smaller tools, my hand tools and stuff that's in my toolbox, I've got most of that stuff out here at the museum, but we just don't have a lot of space out here. Things are tight space, so I really haven't got all my stuff out here, so it's frustrating. Sometimes I have to run home and go get something because I need something pops up, and I know I've got it in a toolbox at home, and I'm out here at the museum. So back to the surface grinder question. Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll get one. It'd be great if the museum could pick one up off a government surplus or something where we didn't have to spend a lot of money on one. But right now, I don't even know that we got a place we could put one out here. So maybe one of these days. All right, last one here. This one is on gear repair, making, installing bronze bushings, and machining a new shaft. From J Rogue 250, excellent work. I love your demeanor too. Your approach the issue very humbly, almost unsure of what to do next. Obviously, you're a master of your work, judging by the results. I can only wish that my stuff came out half as good as yours. Well, you know, I guess you've caught me here a little bit. It says sometimes you're almost unsure of what you're going to do next. And the reason that is because a lot of times I'm unsure of what I'm going to do next. I kind of take things one step at a time. I do try to think projects out, you know, from beginning to end, and how I'm going to go about doing different steps along the way. But it seems like a lot of times things come up that you're unexpected, or you get into a project and it wasn't quite exactly how you were planning, and you have to adjust your plan. You go to plan B, C, D, E, and on down the list. At least that's what happens to me a lot of times. So yeah, I think you've caught me there. You also say, obviously you're a master of your work, judging by the results, and I appreciate that comment. And I've had several people comment that I'm a master at this, and I want to set the record straight real quickly. I'm not a master machinist. I'm far from a master machinist. I think I'm a pretty good machinist, but and I guess the reason I say that is because I've known some truly master machinists, some of these older guys that used to work a long time ago in machine shops. I mean, they were absolutely brilliant. And I've had the opportunity to work under some guys like that in the past and learn a lot from them. But when I look at what I do and I compare it to what those guys do, I am far from being a master. In this day and age, I think it's rare to have a true master machinist anymore, because we've lost so much of the technology of the old school way of doing things with the new school way of computerizing everything. There's still some truly master machinists out there, but I don't know that I fit in that category. I appreciate the comment though, and I just strive to do the best job I can. I guess that I'm the kind of person, I look at a job and say, yeah, I can fix that, and I just dive into it and figure out a way to get it done. If anything else, instead of being a master, I'm probably just bullheaded and just won't give up. I guess that's probably a better way of describing my approach to this stuff. I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying, trying to come up with this. I've got a lot of old books that I've acquired over the years on machine shop stuff dating all the way back to the 1800s through the early 1900s and World War II era. And I look through those books, I read those books, I learn a lot from those books. And now with YouTube, I'm always looking and seeing what other people are doing and learning from other guys. I guess I'm a lifelong learner. That's the bottom line. And I think if you were to even ask some of these old machinists that I would consider to be a master, and you say, hey, you're a master machinist, they'd probably say, no, I'm learning something new every day. That's the secret, guys. Just go out there and look at the job and don't give up, tackle it, figure out how to get it done. And you're going to learn new things. No matter how much you know, you're going to learn new things. I'm probably starting to rant here, but I remember when I graduated from college and I started working in my profession, I had gone to graduate school, I had a master's degree, and man, I thought I was hot. I got out of school and got out in the real world, and I realized real quick that I didn't know a whole lot. And as I have gotten older, I think the older you get, and a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say this, the older you get, the more you realize how stupid you really are. Maybe not stupid, but just how uneducated or how little you know about a subject. Even though you may know more about that subject than a lot of people, the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. And when it comes to machine shop stuff, I've got a lot to learn. I know a lot. I'm trying to share what I do know, but I've got a lot to learn, and I'm learning from you guys out there every day as well. Another one from Mike Hill, great video. I'm in the process of rebuilding an old South Bend lathe, and it has 3 gears with broken teeth. This has been very helpful. Mike, yeah, I think you can use that technique on fixing gears, but I would also caution you, with something like a South Bend lathe, those are pretty common machines, and you can pick up gears for them a lot of times on eBay or from other sources fairly inexpensively, or even buying a brand new gear from like Boston Gear or something to be able to use it. In the case of the gear I was working on, that was a very specific gear for that machine, and you're not going to find anything like that. I would have had to have made a pattern and had something cast if I wanted to get a new one. Which I actually considered doing it that way, but I had a lot of time and effort into fixing that. So if you want to tackle it with trying to repair it the way I did, I think it would work. But I would just also say sometimes just go out there and try to find a replacement. Might be easier and less costly approach, even though it may look costly up front when you factor in all your time that you put into it. Not to discourage you from trying to fix it yourself, but give that an option. Look at that as an option as well. So that's pretty much all the comments that I had from the past week. And again, I hope to get my comments working again soon and be able to stay in touch with you guys a little bit better. I really appreciate the comments. I really appreciate everybody subscribing to my channel. When I first started doing this, I kind of was just posting some videos for a couple of guys that were asking about how I was doing some things. They had seen some work through one of the discussion forums that I participating in. We were talking about the machine I'm restoring, and I started posting some videos there really just for that forum to see some things, and lo and behold, people started subscribing to my channel, and I've really been surprised at how many people are watching now. I've got, as of this morning, I was just a few shy of having 1,000 subscribers to my channel, which I would have thought, when I first started this, that there's no way in the world 1,000 people out there would be interested in seeing what I'm doing. So I'm shocked. In fact, this past week I had a little over 300 people subscribed to my channel. So, wow. I would have never thought it, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoy shooting these videos. I enjoy sharing with you guys and show you what's going on, and I appreciate those comments. So keep them coming. If you got an idea on how to do something better, share it. Hey, again, I don't know it all, and I'm learning along with you guys every day, and always like to hear what you got to say about things. So thank you for being there to my subscribers. Thank you for sharing this stuff with other people, and I look forward to hopefully being able to shoot more videos in the future and keep you up to speed with what's going on. Y'all have a great day.